Alright, so lesson number 3 for solo jazz for the Illini Swing Society lessons in the fall of 2020. My name is Anne, again, and this little mini session is going to be on variants to your shim sham. So a lot of you have probably learned shim sham. We even did a fundraising shim sham for the Illini Swing Society earlier this semester. Last semester, too much time has gone by. So often we can just be stuck in one way of doing the shim sham, but the really cool thing is that, especially when we used to be able to travel, you could see someone next to you doing a variation on the same shim sham move that you do. And you're like, hey, how do you do that? So then you try looking at it and trying to mimic it, and you're like, okay, I'm starting to get it, cool. Or you just have to go up to them because you don't even know where to start. So here are just some ideas to play around with your shim sham to make it more exciting. I would say that shim sham is something you learn pretty early on in your swing dancing. And for people who have been dancing for a few years, sometimes you need a little bit of a mix-up to keep it fresh and exciting or a new challenge. So I will start with the actual shim sham part. So obviously it starts on 8. You're 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cool. First variation has to do with tap. I'm not going to say I'm a tap dancer. I want to take elements from it. It has some sound to it. I'm not saying that we're stomping on the ground. But you can use your toe and your heel. And often in a big crowd of people doing shim sham, no one's going to hear but you. But you're dancing for you, not for other people to watch you. So enjoy it. Especially with that double. Hop, hop, hop. So every time you switch, you actually can put down, you can have a bit of a, I believe stamp is when there's a stamp and a stomp. One is that you lift up after and one that you keep down. I learned this over 10 years ago and I should remember, but I don't. I'll get back to you on that. But you can have a bit of a sound. So it's like a stomp off inside of your shim sham, which is pretty cool. You can even have the boom, bop, button, bop, button. You can have like a bit of like your toe going in with it too. So heel toe, slide, heel toe, slide, pada, bop. So play with having your toe go in individually after your heel lands, and then at the end adding your little stomp off, which is once you come in here, switch your weight ever so slightly, switch it back, and then go for your last part of the shim sham, that drag. So that's one version. Now, another version that I like, that I've taken from the Doing the Jive routine, which was choreographed by Mike Faltazek, and his band did a cover of Doing the Jive, which is an older song, is at one point they do kind of like a shin jam, but at one point they shoot out their leg, and it's like they're squishing like a bug on the ground, or like they're taking out like a fire or squishing a leaf. So show you the whole thing, it goes pop, 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 boom, boom, pop. So I reach out further. Should actually do on this leg since it's so much better for me to go here. Alright, so right here, I'm bent down lower, so I have more reach. But my weight is really here. Like I have a little weight on this leg, but most of it, like 90% is here. Like I'm holding it right now, I can really start to feel it burn. But then I pivot my heel out and back in. Show it again, here, pivot out, back in, and up. So I'm like, normal, normal, really accented. Normal, normal, really accented. Normal, normal, boom, pop, pop. And the cool thing is that you can have a bit of texture, because Because when you're down here, hoo, ha, ha. So those are all really crisp and individual movements. Instead of just being like, ugh. When it's all muddy, it takes away from the fact that you deliberately chose to do something big. If you're gonna go big, work on like, especially that front foot, because people are gonna see that. Note it's good when people are not in front of you so you don't kick them or trip them. But then you're here, you're here, you're here, and you're back. The other thing is like, I keep that leg, keep that leg really straight, and this one's bent, so you have that, that dichotomy of straight versus bent leg, which is always cool to play around with in solo jazz. So that's one variation. So, in the shim sham, something else I like to play around with is in the pushes. Sorry, look at the tachyonies. So pushes usually have like push and you push and you cross over and you push and you push and you cross over. Still keeping that same floor plan. Again, that has to do with the heel. I swear that's not the reason why I sprained my ankle. It was from trail running, but ankle flourishes are pretty cool, and when done quickly or done deliberately are pretty darn cool. So when I do my pushes, I do them much smaller. Push, 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 cross over, and push, 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 cross over, and push, 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 cross over. So what am I doing? Sorry, this side actually. I'm on my toe here. And when I step down, I'm pushing out. So I start kind of with my knees straight. And I end up, well, it's a little pigeon-toed, but I wouldn't go crazy. So if anything, I might start a little bit out so that when I push and I rotate on that toe, kicking the heel out, that my knee is kind of straightening out a little bit. And I don't want to end up doing this too much because imagine someone catches you like, oh cool, you're doing something different, they take a photo. This is not the most elegant position to be in. Not saying you're always going for elegant. I'm just trying to reduce my global awkward. So I'll start a little bit out here, and when I push, I do the same thing. I'm pushing, transferring weight to this one, so I do a bit of a step on this one. So push, 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 kick, cross, push, push, step, push, kick, cross, shoot, hop, shoot, shoot, goop, ba, shoot, 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 whoop. You can even keep it small. And the cool thing is that you can keep it smooth and liquid. You can go wow, 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 wow. Like almost floaty, right? Because it's like your legs are individually doing something, and it really focuses like zooming in on the feet. Or if you want to go for punchy, which we talked about previously in that super extended shim sham alternative, is you can go hoo ha hoo ha ha hoo ha hoo ha. So as soon as that heel kicks out, you kind of keep it a little bit more dynamic and a little bit crispier. So try it out. You know, I would try making sure that you know the steps well before you try and make it too harsh, because like too attacky, because certain amount of, you need fluidity but very suddenly. It's a very funny way of tackling this problem. So in general, I would just go slower. Like take one of the slower shim sham songs, or even turn that speed down, and then you can kind of ha, ha, boom. So it could be still taking up the same amount of time, but there's a lot of breath in between, a lot of intense moments. It's up to you. You can mess around with it. Another moment from the shim sham that I like to play around with is tachyonies. Less so on style, but taking inspiration from the Dean Collins shim sham. Quite a few people in the Balboa community like to learn, because Dean Collins was, you know, for ballet reasons, for swing reasons on the West Coast, we like to see what they do, is for Takianis, it had hoo, ha, hoo, ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. So it's like stomp off, forward, back, forward. Do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 6, a 7, a 8. 1, 2, 3, 5, a 6, a 7, an 8. Hoo, ha. So it's always the right that leads. It's not necessarily down, up, down, but it's more front, back, forward. So your knees might straighten a little bit, but it's not like, you know, trying to back away from someone coughing on the street really suddenly. Not that like piped backwards, but so you see my upper body moves a little, but my bottom half moves a lot more. Now that's Takianis, and something I like to mix around with. And then again, from Dean Collins Shin Sham, the half break. So normally in the Shin Sham we have 1, 2, and 3, 4. Wow, sorry. 1, 2, ba-da, boom, ha, boom, ba-da, boom. This idea, kick, kick, step, 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 kick, ball change, step, step, kick, ball change. Now, when you think about it, it's still syncopated to a bit, but it's not heavily swung. And, you know, we're always asked, like, how is a step really swung? Well, there's this kind of different styling to, especially that kick. So, hoo-ah, ba-da, hoo-ah, ba-da, hoo-ah, ba-da, hoo-ah. So I gave 2 examples there. One is a scoop up. So you see Chester Whitmore doing this a bunch, where you have hoo-ah, ba-da. So very underneath, like, you know, big bicycle pedal underneath and kind of like a jump underneath you. So quite a bit of energy. Do that one again. Hoo-ah, ba-da, hoo-ah, ba-da, hoo. Other option is having more of a stomp in the middle of it. So hoo-ah, ba-da, hoo-ah, ba-da. So it's almost like, again, you're stepping on a bug, but then you're jumping back from it. So it's almost like you're not really putting that much weight on it. It's like you're about to step on something, you're like, oh geez, never mind. It's quite bouncy. So I'll show it again. Ha, ba, 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 da, hoo, hoo, ba, da, hoo, ba, da, hoo. So it's still step, step, bounce off, ball change. Instead of this bigger cake ball change. We can really syncopate that and play around with a little bit more rhythm than your typical Shin Sham steps. Oh yeah. The last one I wanted to bring up is in the Shorty George, taking from the Big Apple. In the Big Apple, at one point, in the song that da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and like everyone's in a line, and they're all doing this, and they go ha, ha, hoop, hoop, ha, 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 hoop, hoop, ha. So that kind of rhythmic Shorty George, you can bring that into your into your Shin Sham. So you normally do boogie back, hands up, 8 counts, 8 and 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Or you can just do 8, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And then just, you know, fix your feet at the end. You can take that pause. It's kind of like, you know, like in the breaks in the second half of the Shin Sham, when, you know, everyone's on break, not moving, and there's like one person that's like, I'm gonna do this cool, like, cross turn. Cool. But during the Shin Sham, or the Shorty George part, Most people are just going straight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which is cool, fine, but you can take your moment then and do something different. So you can play around with that. With that, that's it for this session.